To a very first story, transport operators have announced a 15% increment in transport fares effective today, February 1, 2016. The surge in fares is as a result of the increase in prices of petroleum products on January 4, 2016. The operators also took into consideration cost of spare parts and maintenance, licensing, levies, charges and tolls. Let's get some reaction from the traveling public, and my colleague Michaela Anderson has been sampling views from some lorry stations here in Accra.
We understand there's supposed to be a reduction in petroleum prices from about 2 to 4%, but the irony is that transport fares are expected to go up by almost 15% starting today. We understand it's because of the cost of spare parts, licensing levies, and even tolls. But has the changes already been effected? That's why we are here at the Neoplan station at the Nkrumah Circle to find out. Come with me. Let's go on this journey. I'm here with Francis Aban, and he's with the Odo Taxi and Hiring Branch at the Neoplan station. Good morning, sir.
Morning, madam.
Okay, so we understand transport fares are expected to go up by 15%. Has the changes already been effected?
Please, no. At our area here, we've not yet started.
Why?
Yeah, we don't have official confirmation. That's why we don't start. And our most senior men are not around, so we can't start ourselves like that.
Some passengers who have been speaking to Joy News think the increment is too much and that government is being insensitive. They want it reduced.
Our leaders are insensitive, and that is what I will have to say. Yeah, they are too insensitive. These things are too much. You know, they are talking about children going on the street without the parental care. But what are we going to use to take care of the children? If you are taking everything that I have, you are using Parliament on certificate of emergency to take all these things from us, then I would say that is insensitive. Okay. Insensitive. You see, and human beings, individuals as we are vulnerable, very vulnerable, and that's why the government is taking undue advantage and cheating. I would say they are cheating the masses. They are cheating the masses, and because we are fueling their vehicles, they are not feeling it at all.
Money given to us is already not sufficient, so it will decrease the money we spend at school. So it will affect us. So we'll be hungry.
Oh, for me, I think my money that they give it to me is not even sufficient. So when they increase it, it's going to affect me.
Government isn't really good, and most of our parents are also not having their own vehicles. So if our transportation fee is being increased, it's going to affect us really bad, and we are going to miss most of our school here.
We just hope, we get an increase in salaries and then that to cater for some of this increase. But some of us, we didn't know about some of this increase, and we have to cope with it. We have no choice.
Here at the Circle to Labadi station, we've been speaking to the station manager, Tess.
No, we hear the news, but we didn't put on yet because we want our chairman to hear from region. They will tell us how much we should put it on or how we do it. That's why we are waiting for our chairman.
Now, looking at the percentage, 15%, how much do you think you're going to put on?
Now it's 140. And normally, our fare is 140 from here to Labadi, straight for it. We have to collect 140, even each stop bar, because of GBC, Silver Cab. We collect those people 1 cedi.
So how much would you be charging now?
No, I think when we put about 15 pesos on it, it can be okay.
But we know that the 5 pesos normally doesn't really work, and you people normally round it to 20. So is it going to be 1 cedi, 60 pesos, or 1 cedi? Is it 15?
Now,
well, how is it going to be?
Please, now I can't tell unless I see my boss.
From all indications, new transport fares are yet to be announced. We wait to see what's going to happen. Michaela Anderson for Joy News.
Meanwhile, the National Petroleum Authority says it's in a state of shock following an increment in transport fares by the GPRTU and the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council. The chief executive of the NPA, Moses Asaga, says he feels betrayed by the posturing of the transport operators because a meeting has been scheduled at the Flagstaff House today between the government and the other stakeholders over the issue. And a maritime expert has warned of a potential breakdown of the two ferries that have docked at Century in the Sojaman district of the eastern region. The two ferries were those used to transport travelers across the Volta Lake during the maintenance of the Adomi Bridge for almost 2 years. Plans to dismantle the vessels for onward transfer to Bupe and Yeji to start new operation has stalled. And the expert who spoke to Joy News, Latif Idris, on the condition of anonymity, warned the ferries could collapse if they are left unused for long. So Latif Idris joins me to discuss the story.
Yeah, Bennett.
So Latif, tell me about this. What exactly is this maritime expert saying?
Yeah, you know, we always talk about Ghana's, the culture of maintenance. We've failed over the years to come up to speed whenever, state institutions, facilities are left for us to take care of. This is yet another, failure in the making. That is, if authorities should stay, and not take the needed steps. These ferries were brought in, about 2 years ago to play the role of transporting businesswomen, traders, motorists who are crossing from the eastern to the Volta region. Now the Adomi Bridge is completed, so we've now moved, and then motorists are using the Adomi Bridge. The ferries are expected to be moved to Yeji, where they will be put back on the lake to start transporting businesswomen and all of that. Now that is stalling. President Mahama, when he reopened the Adomi Bridge, promised that they were going to dismantle and then send it back to Yeji to start operations. But it's still there. These, we have captains on the ferry, traffic warders, and this aspect has also come in. They are all giving governments the signals that if we do not take immediate steps to move these ferries, it could collapse.
So do we know what exactly is stalling this movement?
Yeah, we know, and that is also the unfortunate part of it. The reason my source tells me is that we are waiting for expatriates to come and dismantle the ferries. Meanwhile, we have competent people here who are equally capable of dismantling the ferries. If you go to the Volta Lake Transport Company, that is VLTC in Akosombo, we have locals who have managed to build, the same kind of ferries, 4 of them. And this new, if you remember, somewhere 2-3 years ago, Dodi Princess, it used to take people from Akosombo to the Dodi Island. Yeah, it got burnt. We have locals who have managed to build a new one. So what stops us from, engaging these individuals to dismantle the ferries on the Volta Lake? We want to bring in expatriates. They are not coming. So we've left the ferries on the Volta Lake, and it is rusting. We can take a listen to the interview I had with this maritime expert. He spoke on the condition of anonymity because of fear of victimization, obviously. So we can listen to him, then maybe come back.
Okay.
It's not an outboard, it's an inboard with part of the engines in the water. So you can imagine animals find their way in, other reptiles find their way in, other fungus and other, that is talking about the engine side. And then even climatologically, the outside, the bridge, the equipment, when exposed to open air or live air, freeze. Freeze, because air is a composter of many kind of, and so we have had episodes where vessels left for a long time. You go to start and nothing works on the captain's bridge because it's frozen through this climatological effects. So that is my first point. The technicality of the detrimental effects of the technical detrimental effects of the technical pump that will cause damage. It's almost 1 month plus, and they are still there.
And the fact that it's not moving, the batteries are also at risk, would you say?
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. That's how I explained it mechanically. It's like leaving iron exposed. That means they are exposed to rust. Everything will get frozen. Everything will freeze if we don't really, but this is an Iveco engine, and all not because of the specifications, but almost every iron, when exposed on water for a long time, and this is quite a long time, 1 month, they will freeze. And I can promise that if this thing goes on anytime soon, that is still there left, I'm sorry, we risk losing them. Here is something we have taken the tax payers' money to do, and it has created. We saw how much jobs it created during their functioning. We saw it. Barbers who came around to set up, shops.
We had people who moved from Atimpoku to set up their business.
A whole lot of business that this brought in. Now, we are talking about, yes, some people have gotten to relocate, yes. But what about those, for instance, who worked on the ferry, who in the marine world, or better still in almost every profession, when you do 6 months, you become a professional. It's equal to a certificate in the maritime academy. So all these boys who might have, and let's say the captains who worked on them, they are, or as it were, unemployed. So why can't this thing go on, to create, or maybe quickly, even we should have prepared earlier, so that the day of reopening, on the day that the bridge was reopened, these ferries could have been dismantled, so that as we talk, business should have been going on where they are. Dambai, as the Excellency said, Dambai and Yeji should have been booming like Sinchi and Kradi in those days. So living this thing has created a whole lot of unemployment, and that is to say. Then also I spoke about how the white man will have to, that is confirmed or unconfirmed sources, that we are waiting for the white builders, and that is sad. As a Ghanaian, as it were, who would have to protect the constitution to say, look, I owe the obligation and an obligation to the nation to defend state funds. In fact, it's below belt. Come to think of the fact that Ghana, as it were, even Akosombo Port is the third port, that is Eastern Corridor, as it were, have been able to build more sophisticated vessels than this Akrade and Sinchi ferries. Come to think of the second ports, Tema and Takoradi, that is the best, let's say, repair and construction works as far as marine is concerned in the sub-region. And so this, who are capable, as it were, to even lift whole ships from 24-deck ships from the sea onto dry docks. We have those equipments here, so that even come to think of it, we don't even have to dismantle this thing to zero. The white man, we can divide it into 4 components, lift it with one of these, just like we lift vessels onto dry, lift it, dismantle into just 4 components, put it, and then take it to the next destination. It will save us a whole lot of, the dollars and euros where we have to bring these builders, their hotel bills up to their toiletries at the expense of the taxpayer. Excuse me. In Italy, they say, "Ma dove siamo?" Where are we?
In a related development, an accident occurred on one of the ferries plying the Afram Plains over the weekend. We are joined on the phone by the Windham of Afram, who is the District Chief Executive of Kwewu North, with more. Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah, hello.
Good afternoon, and thanks for your time. But what exactly happened?
Okay.
Hello? Hello? Hello, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
We have an eyewitness rather on the line, and he's going to tell us exactly what happened over the weekend. Please, if you can hear me, just give us some updates on what exactly happened over the weekend.
Okay, actually, it was on Saturday. That was on the 30th of January. That issue occurred somewhere around 4 p.m. The ferry was used to link. That it was leaking, and then the water was coming on. So around 4 p.m., a man loaded with charcoal, and then 11 passengers were on board. The water got to the middle of the river. The ferry got to the middle of the river, and then started cascading to one side. And then a young guy whose name was Kosi was on the river fishing. He managed to rescue some of the members. But one man named Mr. Badu is a charter operator, unfortunately lost their life in the water. But as now, the ferry has been dragged from the middle of the river to board. But the car which is the man is in the river yet to be found.
So do we have any authorities on the ground trying to manage the situation? Have the police come around the area, anything like that?
Yeah, police has been there, and then since the Saturday yesterday and then this morning, the DC was also there, and then the National Fire Service Department has also been there.
Okay, thanks for your time. That's an eyewitness giving us updates on a ferry accident that happened over the weekend. We also have the DCE of the area to give us more on the story. Hello, sir. Good afternoon. Thanks for your time. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Thanks for your time.
Good afternoon.
Can you give us, from your point of view, what exactly you've been doing about this situation?
Well, basically, it's an accident. You know, there's a place called Tunamoma, and so the ferry was moving from Tunamoma to Bridjano around 5 thereabouts. But I suspected that the load and the track on the ferry might be heavier than the capacity of the ferry at that time. So they had a problem just after they set off. So they...
Hello, sir. We just lost him on the line there, but we'll bring you more updates in our subsequent bulletins. We take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Please stay on. Thanks for staying on Joy News today. Moving on, elected flag bearer of the CPP, Mr. Ivor Greenstreet, spoke to host of Joy FM Super Morning Show, Kojo Yankson, this morning. Mr. Greenstreet assured that he has started in his own course in unifying the Convention People's Party ahead of the November elections.
Well, I think if you remember, in our last campaign, let's go back campaign by campaign, briefly. If you remember, in our last campaign, unfortunately for the highly respected and very intelligent, committed gentleman who the party elected, that is Dr. Abu Sakara, he was not elected until May of 2012, which was literally just a few months to the election. And we weren't able to galvanize sufficient support for him. And his election was actually prior or post the departure of Dr. Indum at that time.
Yes.
So, you know, there was a real perception, you know, and we were, you know, finding things difficult. The election prior to that, Dr. Indum was the candidate. And we also had a divided front at that time, internally. And that also came out into the public domain and affected the performances of the party at that time. Going back the election before, George Agudi, I'm sure you remember that was when we had a situation where there was some group of persons who decided they were supporting another presidential candidate whilst he was a presidential candidate. Dr. And now Professor Dili was chairman and leader then. That was his first term as chairman and leader. And I know that he will be able to describe to you the kind of things he had to endure at that time. With respect to the divisions in the party. So that is why, as I explained earlier, my contesting as a neutral candidate, okay, and the desire of the rank and file to have a candidate who can unify the party, it is because they realize that in all these elections we have not worked as a team, and that it is our internal disunity which has caused the problems of our performance at the polls, rather than what is out there in the public domain. And if the public see you have this perception of you as being divided within, then they'll realize that, oh, you are not a group of individuals who want to serve them and cater to their needs. Rather, you are a group of individuals who have too much ego, too much pride, and are fighting amongst yourselves as to who's in charge. And so that is why I was even voted for. These are one of the reasons why the delegates thought about this very carefully and said, okay, Green can be the one who can bring us together. He knows the party, he knows everybody, he knows the problems, we can work as a team. So these are the types of reasons. So, but the point is, in this life, success is defined by going from failure to failure, but trying each time again enthusiastically. So the mere fact that we haven't performed well in the past, for me certainly, is no definition that it is going to be a similar result this December. Fortunately, the election has taken place earlier of its candidates, and I believe today is February the 1st. So, we are going to see how we can proceed and do far better on this occasion. I think.
You think you'll end up in Flagstaff House this year?
Well, we have just referred to the fact that the contest for me to become the candidate was a covert operation. This will be another operation that we will do within ourselves, determining how we will move forward. And then it is when the ballots are counted on the election day that we will know what we have achieved and what God has decided to do with our efforts.
But you are essentially you are hoping to go from results like 1.5% and so forth to winning the election this year. That is your aim?
Of course.
I want to read something to you. Dr. Papakwisindum put this post up yesterday on his Facebook page. He titles it, "Still on the Coalition Agenda." It's very short, so I'll read it to you in full. "For several weeks now, I've been promoting the building of a coalition capable of winning the 2016 elections and forming an inclusive government using the best competent men and women. This is not new. I've been asking the question, who wants to join this coalition to make our country strong and its people prosperous? Some prominent people have made private and public commitments to support making this happen. What I find intriguing is the stance of some political parties. They ask, can you help our party to win the election? They just don't get it. I am not talking about helping anyone to win an election. I am looking for the formation of a coalition with equal partnership or majority and minority partnership to win the election and form government come to January 2017. He goes on, for the avoidance of doubt, let me also state clearly that the PPP is not looking to merge with any political party before the November elections. We believe that the coalition agenda offers the best approach to forge a formidable partnership to win the elections in 2016 and so forth. Now, I guess what I'm interested in from you is whether or not this idea appeals.
Well, politically, I've always felt the best way to engage with your colleagues is not through Facebook. So I've always wondered why these requests from, my good brother, Dr. Indum, would come through Facebook. Because how many political parties are there? If there are things you want to do, you can meet us behind closed doors, sit down, we have discussions, look at the strategy, look at the possibilities, and then we know what we're doing. But I don't, deal with Facebook on these issues. So if there are things that he wants to do, well, then he should approach people, sit down with them and say, my brother, this is what I'm thinking of doing. But as for Facebook and announcing it through Facebook, it means, why do you want to tell us through that medium?
Joy News Today takes a quick break. We'll be back with business.
And now time for visa. And the Executive Director of Africa Center for Energy Policy, Dr. Amin Adams, has been assessing price of crude oil following recent marginal increases of the commodity on the international market. Price of crude climbed out of $20 range in the past week, reaching $34 on Friday, January 29. But according to Dr. Amin Adam, it is not yet time to rejoice over the turnaround in petroleum prices, as the fundamentals on the market do not yet support that. He was sharing his thoughts on the marketplace on Joy News.
Price recovery from the downward trend that we saw over the last month, 6-7 months, is going to be good news for them, because most of them have lost much needed revenues. They have not been able to balance their budget, especially the 2015 budget was a big most oil producing countries. And so if there is a price recovery, that should be good news for them. But I think that the recovery may not be sustained. The current recovery is as a result of the noise in the market because of what the finance minister of the United Arab Emirates, a member of OPEC, said, to the effect that OPEC is likely to cooperate with non-OPEC producers to be able to address the declining prices. And so that introduced noise into the market, and that is why speculators are taking advantage of that to take the price up. But as I said, this is not sustained, because the fundamentals of the market do not support price recovery. First of all, you know that there is oversupply of oil relative to demand. In addition to this, Iran, following the lifting of sanctions on the country, has also expressed its determination to increase additional production by about 500,000 barrels a day.
And the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Systems GIPS is keen on rolling out plans of paying public sector workers by the end of this year. The CEO of GIPS, Archie Hesse, who stated this, says the current pilot run of the system using beneficiaries of the Youth Employment Agency and the Controller and Accountant General is commendable and will be expanded to cover other organizations.
Something is that we had a number of government initiatives, national service. We also have GSOP. We also have the student loans that have been using it. But basically, a lot of government initiatives are now opting to use eSwitch as a way of disbursing funds to the various beneficiaries for the obvious reasons. And in the case of Leap, a pilot was run between ourselves and 2 other competitors, and the eSwitch platform came up top. So we now have been given a 2 years contract to disburse Leap beneficiaries nationwide.
And that will be it for business. My name is John Kojo Amwako.
To a very last story for this bulletin, importers and exporters are warning of massive smuggling of goods across borders following the implementation of the ECOWAS Regional Common External Tariff, which took effect today. The implementation of the new tariffs follows the passage of the Customs Amendment Act 2015 Act 905. The ECOWAS tariff requires that exporters and importers on the sub-region will pay the same rates for goods and services entering or going out of the member states. The Common External Tariff replaces the harmonized system and customs tariff schedules. For more news, kindly log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Benis Abubedu. Thanks for your time. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.